Here we are today from Jolly Roger Sailing Club, and our new tagline is "Where Pirates Go to Play." I kind of like that. I made that up myself. But anyways, today we're going to talk about catboats, and I never even knew what the heck a catboat was, and we're going to talk about that. And I want to have my guests introduce themselves, and it's going to be ladies first. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'm Diane Silas. I'm a relatively new member of Jolly Roger, and I have 3 catboats.
Three.
They're like potato chips. You can't have one.
Ooh, that sounds good. And you are?
I'm Phil Fry. I'm the Commodore here at Jolly Roger Sailing Club, and I only have 1 catboat.
Phil, how come you have your Commodore uniform on?
This is the Vanderbilt Commodores. So that's...
He's got these. Are those medals?
No, those are not medals.
Hold on a second. He's got these medals on his shirt. They're blue and gold, and I thought they were really medals. They're the back of yogurt lids he has on there to try to make medals. It's so tacky. And that hat looks like something out of Master and Commander. You know what he just whispered to me? He got it from Oliver Hazard Perry.
He actually crewed with me
for
a while.
He died in 1813. But
well, that's...
I'm not saying you're old, but when God said, "Let there be light," I think you flipped the switch. I'm not sure about that.
Are you against
Are these
ghosts?
written down?
No. Should I write them down? Here.
I think you should work on your routine.
Yeah, I got to work on it. This will probably all get edited out. Like heck, it will. Anyways, we're going to talk about catboats today, and we're just going to start with what the heck is a catboat?
Do you want to take this one, Phil, or shall I?
Well, Phil always wants to take it. So.
Sure, I love to hear the sound of my own voice. First of all, let me just say, Diane is a member of the U.S. Catboat Association, so I will defer to her.
She's got a tattoo on her face. You can't see
no,
this.
she does not.
No,
Why do you make
it's
this
below
stuff
the
up?
chin. You can't see it if I put on a turtleneck.
See?
A catboat is essentially a boat that is roughly... the length, the beam is half the length. They have a single mast stepped well forward and a single sail. So they're not a traditional Marconi or Bermuda rigged boat. They only have the one sail, and they originally started out as working boats that became pleasure craft over a series of years.
What the heck is Marconi? I don't know what that is. Other than that, the guy that did the radio or something? What is Marconi?
A Bermuda-rigged boat is one with a mast that's set roughly amidships, a little bit before amidships. It's called Bermuda rig. And when they first started becoming popular, they had steel cables, and people said, oh, that's kind of like those cables that Marconi's running for his radio set. So that's how it became known as a Marconi rig.
Yeah, man, this is getting so deep.
I'm just making this stuff up.
I know. Yeah, that's it. Okay, anything to add on what a catboat is, or did he pretty much cover it?
No, the Marconi sail is actually 3-sided, and a gaff rig is actually 4-sided.
Thank you.
As a simple way of looking at it, a gaff rigged sailboat will have your normal mast. You will have a boom, and then you will have a gaff rig with jaws that kind of ride alongside the mast. And it's kind of very trapezoidal. So that one sail is a lot easier to control, although you're going to have 2 ropes for each sail.
Now, you can't answer this one, Phil.
Okay.
Why do they call it a catboat?
Well, there was a lot of discussion on that in a recent video I watched, but some thought it might have been the traditional oval-sized portholes that are on the side of the boat. That are on the side of the boat that kind of make them look like cat eyes. And other folks have speculated that it's because they're as quick as cats on the water. But there's really no good, solid answer as to why they're called catboats.
I was telling Phil one of the things I read is since they used to use them for fishing a lot, that they said they used to have to shoo the cats away from the boat. This is seriously, I found this online. So they would say that's the catboat because you think about it, if they had dead fish on your boat, you would attract cats.
That does make a certain amount of logic to it.
It does. Would you say that it is easier or harder to sail a catboat than let's just say a 22 or 25.
A Marconi rigged boat.
Yes, a Marconi rigged boat with the wires that for the radio, but most radios don't have wires. But
back in the old days, it
anyways,
did. Believe me, I was there when he invented it.
Yeah, you were probably friends with him and Oliver Hazard Perry.
That's right.
That
The three
and
of us
Fred
got
Flintstone.
together.
And you went out to Perry's monument. That's probably where he gave you the hat, right?
Exactly.
All right. What would you say difficulty versus ease of sailing
Well,
on a catboat versus a standard monohull?
I can only say that I've only ridden in a standard monohull once. I've always just sailed catboats, so I'm not really a good person to ask. Maybe Phil would be better to answer that question.
It is much easier to sail a catboat.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Less lines. Essentially, less. You've got one less sail to trim to get it performing correctly, and especially if you're running with a traditional rig with a spinnaker, you've got a whole sail change you're making on a downhill run, and on a catboat, you just let the boom out and off you go.
Now I read, or I don't know if I saw this in a video, or by the way, if anybody's interested in catboats, there's a video. I think it's called 9 Lives, and I'm gonna see if I wrote down the actual name of it. 9 Lives, the story of the catboat. It's on YouTube, and actually, it's quite interesting. And I think the three of us have all seen the video. And one of the things they talked about in the video was the fact that some of the catboats, they let the booms get so big that they would have to have another boat to like manage it when they came into port. Yeah, you're nodding there, Diane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they would
I've
have
seen that.
they would have booms that were essentially longer than the length overall of the catboat itself. It would extend several feet past the transom. But those are crazy people. The catboats you see today do not carry that much canvas, really.
No, most of the traditional catboats that you see now, the boom doesn't really extend past the end of the boat.
And I know they talk about what they have 3-sided and there's 4-sided sails, or
Well, Diane touched on what's called a gaff rig.
That's the gaff? Is that what that is?
Which is a trapezoidal, as she said.
Okay.
And there's actually the gaff itself is like a really short boom that's at the top of that.
And it controls the peak of the
now do any
the
of your
sail.
boats, are any of your boats gaff rigged?
Yes, actually, my 1950 Beetle Swan is gaff rigged.
Wow. And so you said you have 3?
Yes, I have the 1950 Beetle Swan, which is a gaff rig. I have a 1999 Seaward Fox, which is a Marconi rig. And I just recently picked up a 1971 Herman Cat, which was designed by Whit Holtz, and I plan on re-rigging that to be a gaff rig. I think it originally came as a Marconi, but I will re-rig that to be a gaff rig boat.
Because why?
Because I want to be able to tabernacle the mast.
I don't know what that means.
Tabernacle means hinging the mast probably about a foot or two above the deck of the boat.
Okay.
And it will ride down on what's called a gallows, which is kind of like a bar to rest your mast, your boom, and your gaff rig so that you can, trailer the boat easier.
Oh.
And you won't have to constantly put the mast up and down other than at that hinge.
Okay.
It'll make it easier to trailer it and put
So in
it
other words,
in.
the base is always set, and you would just
Put the upper part up.
upper part up.
Yeah.
So how did you get into cats? It sounds like you're really into them. If you got 3 of them, like how long is this? I don't want to say obsession, but I mean interest.
It is actually an
You got-
obsession. You
okay, if
pegged
you got
it right
3
the first
sailboats,
time.
then you
That's
probably
not all
something
I got in the
like that.
backyard, but that's all the cat boats I got in the backyard. So yeah, that obsession has been going for quite a while, and I like the fact that they were sturdy and they're considered champagne boats. You could basically sit there with just sitting back drinking your champagne, while all those other fancier longer, sleeker race boats are heeling at 45-degree angles. The cat boat's just going to it's not going to be as fast, but it's definitely a more peaceful ride. So you could just sit back, and it's more of a gentle ride than those heeling boats. That the cat boats don't do that.
I think that would mirror what I've actually seen when Phil takes his out on the river here. I see him just kind of chilling and just running down. Is that kind of what most people? I know they race them. I mean, they race everything. You got 2 people that got a boat, you're going to race. But
Yeah, there's a big race fleet out on the East Coast. they do a lot of racing with the beetle cats, which are another like 12, 14-foot boat, but they've got whole fleets of them, and you've got children all the way up to grandparents out there racing those boats on the East Coast.
Now, do they still make catboats?
Oh, yeah.
So it's something that's still in production.
Most
Right.
definitely so.
They still they make them still in wood, in Aries Pond, I think. Diane.
Yeah, that could be Eries Pond.
Makes them in. That's the name of the company, and then Compaq makes several fiberglass catboats, and Menger.
Yes.
Menger cats are still out there,
I think Herreshoff is still doing the Herreshoff Americas, but I'm not positive.
but they're in glass now. I think.
Yeah, they would be in
They're
glass.
in glass now, fiberglass now. Because you got to understand, this is a sailboat that the American Civil War they had catboats. I mean, not fighting, but they were still being made back then, or that's when they started making them. Was in the 19th century, and they were workboats. And to Diane's point about them being stable, they were boats for fishermen, so they wanted a stable platform, and they wanted something that was easy to sail, that you could sail it with one or two people. Go out, get your lobster pots or your nets, and bring them back in. And they're very prevalent in the New England area still to this day. We do not see a lot of catboats on Lake Erie, though.
Would you now? How big is your catboat, Diane? The one you have here. I'm sorry, that I've seen.
Okay, the one I sail most is my Seaward Fox, and that's a 19-foot,
Okay.
Overall, and it's got a 14-foot length on the waterline.
Okay. Now, what about you, Phil? What's the one I see out
That's
here?
exactly what I have. The sister boat to Diane.
Okay.
Yeah,
So mine's a Seaward Fox also,
Now,
and they're rigged identically.
How do they handle in like waves? Bad. Let's say.
It was glorious. I was out on Lake Erie last year, and they handle very well on waves.
Do
Thank
they?
you. Yeah.
Would you ever take your boat over to Put-in Bay? I mean, would it be safe to take it that far?
Well, you'd always have to watch the weather, but yeah, sure it would be.
Yeah, I took it to Mankey's, the marina.
That's right, you did. I remember. I remember you did. I did see it there.
Yeah.
She got the trophy for the longest distance sailed to come to the event.
So, 3 to 4 foot waves are not going to be a real issue.
It's got some chop to it, sure, and you're going to bounce around a little bit.
But as
yeah.
wide as that thing is,
It's a pretty dry boat too.
Yeah, I didn't spill my coffee once.
all right. All right. Now, how long did you say you've been into this?
I've been in the cat. I purchased my first catboat just probably 2019, just as COVID was coming on.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah, I drove out to Connecticut and picked
Most people
it up.
just overate and hid in their basement. You started buying boats, huh?
I started buying boats. It's an obsession. It's
boating is.
I need an intervention here.
So, tell me about, and you kind of mentioned this, but like, I know, like, I have a 27 and I have a fixed keel. Like, what's the situation on a catboat? Is there a centerboard? Is there how does all that work?
Catboats generally are shallow draft so that they can get into the shallows and do a lot
Okay.
of gunk holing. My Beetle Swan actually has a swing keel,
Which means what?
which means that for the most part it draws hardly anything. But
Okay.
if I want to go out into bigger water, I can drop the keel around a hinge, and it'll make my boat draft a little bit deeper. Now the Seaward Fox is a fixed keel, and I think that the Whitholtz in the backyard does have a swing keel as well.
They have bigger rudders too, right, on those boats? Or is that just the video I saw?
Well,
that some of them-
the traditional one, they have what's called a barn door rudder, which is
Right.
quite large, but it doesn't extend below the bottom of the hull. But the rudders on our Seaward Foxes are transom hung, and they're more of a traditional rudder. But the original catboats had what were called barn door rudders.
Yeah, and that's what the Whitholtz has, is actually a barn door rudder. And they look like these huge things that stick off the back of the boat, and that helped give it stability.
It does look like a barn door too. I mean, the ones I saw in the video.
Yeah,
were pretty big.
they're pretty big. They're like D-shaped, and they're ginormous.
What about like sideward movement? Do they drift a lot to the side?
Unfortunately, with the shallow draft boats that the traditional shallow draft cat boats, they do drift a little bit to the side, but it's you're not in very deep water, so it's not a bad deal.
What did I see in one of the videos? Like somebody's hanging off the side, putting like something in the water to he's on a beam to kind of keep the boat from. Did you guys see that in the video?
Is that a lee board?
Yeah,
I don't know what that is.
Those were lee boards. Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
lee
see
boards.
that.
What do? You just stick it in the water and it helps you not slip sideways, or what is it?
Well, in some really old boats, that's what they had were lee boards.
Like Oliver Hazard.
Well,
Perry.
they're also doing them over like in the Scandinavian countries. They use lee boards. Then that's not like they're still using it in their boats these days. Is they'll put a pair of lee boards on either side of the boat to drop them down
So what,
for
does
stability.
it like hook onto the side, or
Yeah,
how does it work?
it hooks onto the
Well,
gunnel.
the ones in the Netherlands area are actually they go around like a pivot point, like a hinge.
Okay.
And they just always ride on the side of the boat. They're not removable unless you completely
So if you're on
disassemble
a
it.
port beam, you would drop it
you
depending on
drop
what
the
side
lee
you are.
board. You drop the lee board.
Yeah, that's more than I knew about lee boards, other than what I've seen in pictures.
But cat boats, though, are traditionally centerboard boats.
And made for shallower water.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
Because you got to be able to pick up your lobster pots or like go crabbing or go for scallops or whatever. You want to be able to beach the boat, like get out and do what you got to do and then hop back into
they
the
show a
boat.
lot of that video. I was amazed at like how they could just run up on a little sandbar. They'd get out and do whatever and get back in and push off, and they're off to the races.
Yeah, that's the beauty of a shallow draft boat is you can do things like that.
The only time that happened to me was when first day I got my boat. The guy who sold it to me ran aground out in Sandusky Bay. He was
Probably
going to
not
take
the
a
same
shortcut.
happy feeling, huh?
No, it was not happy at all. But he said, "We'll be all right going this way." I was like, "Okay, man, you know the area." He gets out of the channel, and yeah, it was not good. I did not say great words at that point. So have you ever raced your cat boat? Do you race on Thursdays with yours, or just you usually are running races? So that's
There was one race that I entered my cat boat in.
Was there?
Yeah.
Is that the one where we were stuck out there for like half the night?
No,
it wasn't.
No, it was the Pinkley Cup.
Oh, you were in that, huh?
That's right. I got first place in the cat boat division.
There was one.
Of course, there was only one boat in the cat boat
if I get the
division.
Whitholds up and sell the Seaward, we could have a 3-boat race.
Oh, don't sell the C word to anybody that doesn't have Jolly Roger in their name.
I'm told that I have to sell it to a Jolly Roger person.
So is there many cat boats that race around here? Did
No.
you say not really?
No.
No, they're
Maybe
not.
you could start a trend.
That wouldn't be a bad thing.
We can have I don't know, Tuesday night cat boat races.
I'd have to keep importing them from the East Coast, though.
Is that where you have to get them from?
Well, that's where I got mine.
If you're looking for cat boats, check Craigslist on the East Coast.
Really?
Because that's where most of them are. Now, that being said, Ted, I bought my cat boat in one of the hotbeds of sailing in the United States, Iowa.
I've heard that's
I
quite the
actually
hotbed.
it came up on a Craigslist in Iowa, and I saw it, and I did some research.
And you drove all the
this
way out
was
there?
before I knew Diane, so I didn't know that she had another Seaward Fox.
So you drove out there and just
I
trailered it back?
drove out there and trailered it back.
So are most of them trailerable? Is that the whole idea?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the great aspects of them, is the ability. You're not limited to one lake. I mean, with a cat boat, you can
Go
take them
anywhere.
almost anywhere.
How much would a used cat boat run? Are they expensive boats?
Well, it depends. It's
Yeah,
just
it's
like
true,
anything
like
else.
anything
It's the condition. It's the
Okay.
condition. Yeah. Now, I happen to know what Diane paid for her Seaward Fox, and I know what I paid for my Seaward Fox. And I've been on her boat. I know how hers is laid out and what she's got on her boat, equipment-wise, and what I've got on my boat. And she got the deal of the century. She got a great boat for what she paid for. It was, in fact, I probably overpaid, knowing what I paid.
And I got mine from Muskegon. I didn't have to drive near as far to get
That's
my
right.
boat as you
didn't
would
have to
got
didn't
yours.
have to go to Iowa, that hotbed of sailing.
Yeah. Now you have one sail. Now, do you ever change it out for anything else? Like, it's not like on a, where somebody puts up a spinnaker, puts up a
no.
head sail. It's just you got one sail and
One sail, that's it.
That's pretty much it.
That's one of the things that makes them so much fun and so easy to sail. I have a traditional sailboat. You've been on it.
Yep.
I normally at least want to have a crew of 3 when I go out with that one. But
Sure.
on the catboat, I just climb on it myself and off I go.
Yeah, that's all I do is solo sail. There's, with one sail, I don't have to worry about having extra people.
Do they come? A lot of them have inboards, or most of them just outboards?
No, there's some that have inboards.
Yeah, but all mine will have outboards currently.
Right.
I might put an inboard in the Whitholt, but for now everything is it's outboard.
What about docking? Do you find just standard like anything else? Is it easier, harder, just about the same?
It's about the same.
Yeah, I've always just docked mine, so I don't know the difference.
That's right. That's true. If that's all you've ever owned is a catboat, then I guess to you it'd just be like
it's
docking
just the
is
way you do it.
docking. All right. Anything else you would like to tell us about catboats?
I was concerned that you would ask us some math questions.
I
do you have
I
any
don't have
math
any.
questions?
You didn't do well with that part of the program last time. I asked him what Avogadro's number was, and he didn't know. So
I said 3.
yeah, he says 3 to anything math.
Well, then that
If you
probably
ask
would
him.
have said the same
It's
thing.
like, how many drinks do you want? 3.
I might have said 42.
Do you want a sandwich? 3. Yeah, this is how it is.
I do like sandwiches.
I know you do. You make a great sandwich, by the way.
Oh, that's right. I made them on that one.
He makes them as long as you stay on the high side and don't move, you can have a sandwich.
Oh,
yeah.
so that's your reward
As
for all
soon
that
as
hard
you
work.
want to go below,
No,
you cannot have a
No,
sandwich.
you have to.
wow.
You
I
have
have to pee. No, it's okay. Stay up there. You can go off the side.
Yeah.
We're racing. You're
That
not
works
moving.
fine for you, Ted,
You're
but
not
not so
moving.
much for me.
He doesn't care.
Well,
But he makes a heck of a sandwich.
well,
That
okay.
is
I don't
true.
know if a sandwich is worth peeing off the side of a boat.
I wasn't going to do it.
Okay.
I wasn't going to do it.
How does this have anything to do with catboats?
It has
I
absolutely
think
nothing.
we
Fish
I think we
sandwiches.
completely
They could be
straight.
fish sandwiches.
Cats pee.
Tuna fish.
It's like it's-
Tuna fish sandwich.
Yeah, tuna fish. All right. Well, thank you for. I did something that I told the guy doing the sound,
You
Trey, I
smacked the
wouldn't
table.
do, as I
Slapped
patted
the
the
table.
table.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trey. All right. Well, thanks for coming out and talking about
Yep.
catboats.
Thanks
and
for having us.
you better get out for work day.
Yeah.
There you are.